workshop with the theme, the Kickoff. When the deal closes, CX leads to churn or growth, you decide. So we have with us someone who is a management consultant and educator, partnering with companies to create scalable growth and metrics-driven customer programs from onboarding to adoption, renewals, and advocacy. She also works with individuals who are seeking to take the next step in their careers. She's one of the top 50 customer success influencers of 2021 by Smart Carrot. That's definitely a biggie. We're going to welcome founder, CEO, customer success advisor, growth molecules, Miss Emilia, who joins us all the way from California. She knows that she's going to put on her camera and unmute herself when the applause is coming out real loud. So you send in the energy. I'll make sure that the applause is loud. Welcome, Emilia. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
It's wonderful to have you here, Emilia. And we are looking forward to the workshop as it unfolds.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for having me here today. I am going to share my screen. And while I wish I could make this even more interactive than I will this morning, I'm going to get started and ask everyone, where are you from? I know I may not be able to see it, but if you're in the booth, please be sharing where you're from. And then I'll tell you in a moment a little bit about where I'm from. All right, so yes, I'm really excited to be here from Sonoma, California. That is about an hour north of San Francisco, California. And I have been working in technology for the past 20 years. I had the good fortune of joining my colleagues in a few years ago in Mumbai. I'm so used to saying Bombay, but in Mumbai with the Don Bosco group, I wrote my thesis on the Aadhaar card and getting it to the poorest people of India. So really exciting year for me when I went and got my MBA, and I had the opportunity to spend 2 weeks in India. So I wish I was there in person, but instead I am from my office here in California, and it is very early in the morning. So as you can see, I've worked with companies all over the world, helping them scale. And my most recent position is being a consultant for the past 3 years working with companies. So let's get started. Repeat customers, where do they start? It's a question that so many companies are asking, especially if they're in an early stage. They want to make sure that they have those repeat customers so that they can raise more money, eventually go public or get acquired. So this is something that your organization should be focusing on, whether you're business to business or business to consumer. And today I'll be sharing several things that you can apply to your own business so that you're either a rocket ship or a sinking ship. So what is even onboarding? Why should you start that as soon as they have a pain point and start working with your organization? Onboarding is really the action or process of integrating a client with your product or service. So again, whether you're selling a computer or you're selling a software, it's really important to keep this idea of you being a rocket ship, something that people want to get on as you're building your organization and your customer experience. All right, so I wanted to share this stat because it's really important to think about. Companies are so focused on acquiring new customers, they don't realize that it's actually cheaper to keep the current customers and sell more to them. And the reality is, retaining a customer that is loyal, that will say good things about you, results in them buying 33% more new products than a new customer. And why is that? It's because they trust your brand. They've built a relationship with you. So you want to make sure that you are really focusing on the customers who have taken that chance on you, who are now in the door, and they need to go through an experience that is really incredible for them, because they're not only more likely to spend more money with you. Acquiring a new customer is far more expensive than retaining a customer. So what does starting renewals at Hello mean? Well, let's start with the first two things. Often companies are so focused on sales, they forget to have a seamless handoff to the customer organization. So you want to make sure, if you're using a CRM, regardless of what it is, whether it's Freshdesk, Salesforce, HubSpot, you want to make sure that it's very simple for your customer success team to know when new customers are coming in. What do they really care about? People do not buy with their pocketbooks per se. They first buy with the emotion. So while they're excited, they're in this honeymoon phase with your company, you want to make sure that between the time they are with your sales team and your customer success team, they are having a seamless handoff and it's quick. A customer success manager is reaching out to them and letting them know that they're excited to work with them, and they know a little bit about them because they've looked over the notes, they may have talked to the salesperson, and they have everything they need to help the customer be successful. Now, the second thing is, when you're on that kickoff call, you really want to make sure that that decision maker, the person who purchased the product, is on that call. And often people will come back to me and say, but Emilia, these decision makers have big titles, they don't have time for this big meeting. And I push back on these clients and I say, you absolutely need to then make your meeting shorter. Make it 30 minutes. It's just a kickoff to make sure that everyone is aligned on why did they purchase your product. So really focus on making sure that that decision maker's there. Make sure your subject line in the invite is clear. It's an executive kickoff, and never send a decision maker an invitation without an agenda. He or she wants to know, why are they being invited to this meeting and what should they be expecting to get out of the call. Next, when you're on those calls, because you've had a seamless handoff up here, you want to make sure that you're confirming their pain points, why they purchased the platform, what are they expecting to get out of the relationship. Because if you're confirming, they know you've done your homework, and this is psychological, then they start trusting you more because they've just spent all this time with your sales team. Now they're being handed off to you. They need to start realizing that you're the new trusted advisor. And the way to do that is making sure you've done your research, whether you go on LinkedIn and look them up and you talk to the sales team, you look in your CRM. You really want to make sure that you're confirming at the beginning instead of asking questions the salesperson has been asking them for weeks or months already. I always recommend that you connect with your clients after you've had this kickoff call. And what that means is not sending a blind invitation. I rarely accept those. What you want to do instead is write a note and say, thank you, customer. We are excited to work with you. Thank you for your call today. I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. Those personalized messages really show the client that you care and that you're invested in this relationship. Next, not enough companies have post-launch business reviews. A post-launch business reviews pulls that decision maker back in after the onboarding and asks him or her, do you feel your end goal has been achieved? And those conversations will often bring up new things they want to do with your platform, and they may bring up things that didn't go as well as they should have. Use this opportunity to learn about your customer, because this is how you start your renewal. All of these motions that you're going through in your onboarding program will either lead to a renewal or churn. So after that business review, at the end of that call, you want to let them know that they'll be receiving a survey from your executive. Typically, I build these surveys for my clients to come from the vice president or the chief customer officer. And it allows the customer to give additional information about their experience that they may not have been comfortable sharing during that meeting. And so this gives them an opportunity to share anonymously. Now, I want to make sure those surveys are not too long. If you're going to ask more than 5 or 10 questions, the chances of people actually answering them go way down. So while I wish I could see some of your answers, I wonder how many people have a strong onboarding program that has all of these different elements tied together so that the customer feels like you're actually leading them through an orchestrated experience of onboarding. All right, so a successful orchestrated launch includes the following 3 elements. 1, on that call, when you're first getting to know them, ask them, what does success look like in 30 days from now, in 3 months from now, and most importantly, as you're working towards that renewal, 1 year from now. If you're not putting this type of information in your CRM, somewhere where your sales, your entire organization can transparently see these questions answered, you're missing out on the renewal opportunity. Because what if you get moved to a different role? Maybe you get promoted. The person who's going to take over the account is going to need this information. And a lot of people might say, well, Emilia, my client doesn't know what success looks like. You need to be prepared to give them ideas. Work with your team to create a board of all the different ways a customer can be successful. And I always recommend have at least 1 quick win within the first 30 days. You want to make sure your client is receiving some sort of value from your product so that they are still feeling that honeymoon phase. Okay, we got through the first 30 days. This is going the way we first said on the kickoff with 1 successful event. Now we're going to work on the next 3 months and then a year of success. Next, you really want to make sure all of your milestones are in writing. Not enough people send follow-up emails with what the client agreed to and what you agreed to do within a certain number of days. Having it in writing allows you to hold them accountable for getting you the information you need to make your client successful. And then last but not least, at the end of your onboarding, you really want to sign off on a joint launch plan of responsibilities. How do you move forward in this relationship? Often companies have very technical implementation teams. They're not the same people who are going to take that client through the renewal. So you really want to make sure that you have a joint launch and implementation plan to hand off to whoever will take over the account, or that you can refer to as you build your relationship with your clients. So on the right here, I have an example of a Jumpstart program I built for a client. And really what it shows is it's telling the client, what does the strategy kickoff call include? What am I responsible for? How much effort? And who? And then the onboarding, the 3 different steps that will go into it. And again, what is expected of me and what is the time frame? And then last but not least, you really want to make sure you explain when is the training? How are you going to roll it out to your organization to really make sure it sticks? So that's really important as well. All right, so onboarding, I keep saying this, it's the beginning of churn or advocacy. And advocacy is critical. It's what people are saying when you are not in the room. When someone's sending me a message on LinkedIn and says, hey, I've seen you as a customer of the following product. Can you tell me what you really think about this company? Should I buy the product as well? So that is really, really important to think about as you're building your organization when it comes to getting your client up and running quickly. Onboarding has a neuroscience behind it that I'd like to share. The power of first impressions are critical. Yesterday, I was invited to do an interview with a company, and the two people that showed up in a way that showed me they were not really prepared. So when you come to these calls, you want to remember first impressions matter. Take that extra minute to put on a nice shirt. Take that extra minute to go research, what is your client like? Most of us are on LinkedIn these days. How do they dress? How do they present themselves? Make sure you show up prepared, because they are validating, oh, did I make a good decision purchasing this product? Look at this person. They showed up on the kickoff call totally unprepared. Now I'm having buyer's remorse. So you really want to make sure you're driving this to your team. Make sure they understand the power of first impressions. And you want to make sure that this onboarding includes storytelling. And I'm going to share some stories in a moment to show you the power of storytelling. Because when you're onboarding, you want to make sure your clients are understanding, what are your best customers doing? How are they successful? I want to be that person. I purchased your product because I want to be successful. Share with me some best practices. So you need to have some stories in your pocket, train your team, get them to share those stories with your clients. And what's really key is trust when it comes to the science behind onboarding. The customer journey, they want to know up front, what am I in for? Show them a simple one-pager, a visual image of what is the journey and what's in it for me. Am I the hero in the story, or is your product? You should always be making your clients the heroes in your stories. Now, I love this stat because so many companies think they're amazing. They may have a high NPS score, but behind the scenes, they're not actually capturing the whole voice of the customer. And so this stat really shows, while companies think they're great, they put all these awards and things online, not everyone agrees. So the drastic difference between 80% of companies think they're giving a customer an amazing experience, yet only 8% agree, is astounding. All right, so I want you now to think about, what are some of your favorite platforms that you've either purchased or a daily cadence. So I'll give you a minute to think about that. And I want you to think about, why do you love using these platforms? What's so special about them that makes you either keep buying them or keeps you going to them? Well, it's the science behind it, right? It's the feeling that those platforms give you. One example for any of you where English is your second language, it's certainly mine. I'm Italian, I'm from Italy, and English was not the first language I learned. And so I use Grammarly on everything I write, and I pay for it. I pay for the premium, and it makes me feel good before I send an email to someone, knowing that my grammar and my spelling has been checked. So again, they're making me the hero of that story, and I'm going to keep buying it. Now, I want to share another story. A platform you may be thinking of that makes you feel good, like Grammarly, but there are also consumer products like Teslas. Today, you don't have to go to a store ever to purchase one. You get online and you build your car online, you put in your credit card, and then someone calls you and tells you your car will be ready in X number of days, and where would you like to pick it up? Here are the following locations we can deliver the car to. So once you do that, you schedule to go in, someone takes you to your car after offering you a coffee, and they teach you how to use your car over the course of about 30 minutes. Now, That onboarding experience with the car is amazing. If any of you have ever been to a car dealership and you felt those pushy people trying to get you to buy a car you don't even want, you told them what color you want, you told them you maybe want an electric car or a hybrid, yet they're trying to sell you a gas car because they're not listening. That creates a terrible experience. Where something like Tesla, they've really tapped into the neuroscience of onboarding. They make you feel really special by putting you in the driver's seat while your trainer is in the side seat teaching you how to use your car. And then at the end of the experience, they even say, hey, do you want me to take a picture of you with your brand new car? It's such an exciting feeling because then of course you're going to go put it on social media and be proud and excited of that onboarding experience. What has Tesla done really well? They've tapped into how people purchase. And again, it's with emotion. When you hear someone say, I just rented a new apartment, I just bought a new house, I just bought a new car, they're not telling you about the mortgage payments and how much they're going to have to pay and what they're going to have to do to make this possible. They're telling you about the beautiful appliances, that it's close to downtown, that it's quiet, that it's in a pretty neighborhood. Those are all emotional things they're telling you about. And that's what you want to make your onboarding experience like. So Tesla's really tapped into that. And I want you to think about how you can apply their model to your organization. Make it a wow experience. So another example I want to share with you is Apple. I was on the phone with a client when my doorbell rang around Christmas time, and my dog started barking. I could tell someone was at the door. My husband got the package. It was the mail person, and I continued my call. So at the end of the call, I checked my emails, and there was this beautiful email welcoming me to my brand new iPad. Now, I had yet to go upstairs and open the box, but Apple timed this welcome email to schedule a free online personal session with an expert to make sure I was getting the most out of this product. So these kind of experiences have really made onboarding easy and simple to learn how to use a product and to become a loyal customer, so much so that I'm sharing this story with all of you. That call was not only amazing because when I went to click schedule your session, it took me through 4 or 5 questions about what do I really want to get out of this call? After all, it's only a 20-minute call. And so when that person, that expert showed up for my onboarding call, they knew exactly what I cared about. And it was a sidecar. I wanted my iPad to be on the side of my screen, showing me what's going on, maybe in my email, while I'm in a meeting or working on a project. So it was such an amazing experience. And that's how you should be thinking about when you're putting your clients through any experience. It's the beginning of churn or advocacy. Now, I had 30 days to return this iPad. It was an expensive purchase. If I didn't feel I was getting the value out of it, I would have returned it and gotten all my money back. And so you want to avoid those experiences, and making it easy to learn and engage is critical for your company's success. All right. So when you're thinking about your own onboarding journey, you want to make sure there's a path. You want to make sure there are responsibilities for your team. What will you deliver to your clients within how much time? And then what do your clients need to give you so that you can be successful setting them up? Make it really simple. Take the time to hire that content writer to create a one-page simple guide on maybe those technical requirements, because at the end of the day, that project manager who may be setting up your system, they don't know. They're going to send all the requirements to some IT person. And IT people, if you don't have something clear in terms of how do I do this, how do I set it up, you're going to put it on the back burner, and then suddenly your onboarding is behind schedule. And last but not least, always focus on your outcomes. You need to have outcomes when you're building an onboarding journey. You need to put your customer at the center of success. So here is an example of a journey that leads to renewals. It's from Winning by Design. You can find these for free on Lucidchart. And essentially, it's the beginning of you being able to set up your own onboarding journeys. So what did I talk about today? That seamless handoff right here with the pre-board, meeting with your sales team, then getting them to commit, and making sure you have that handoff so that you know exactly what's going on. And sometimes they may have that buyer's remorse if something's gone wrong. So you may have to be prepared to resell. Hopefully you won't, but if you do, be prepared for that. And how does your team really get involved to bring them back to success for a kickoff? So you want to make sure that you have a very clear journey. Every company's journey is going to be slightly different. So in platforms like Lucidchart, you can actually edit these type of journeys to be customized for your own organization. All right. What do you include in your renewal playbook? Make sure the first thing people will want to know is, what is the return on investment? And that's why I always say, make sure you have at least one win within 30 days for your clients. Next, speak less. When I do call coaching for my clients and I listen to these kickoff calls or executive business reviews, your customer success managers are talking too much. They're not listening. They're trying to give too many features to the clients, but they don't even know what the clients really need. So ask thoughtful questions by confirming what you know from your sales team, and then digging deeper so that you can build that trust. And that requires taking the time to be silent and listen, let them speak, don't interrupt them, and really understand their business needs. If you're using anything like Chorus or Gong for your call recordings, you'll be able to see in the platform how much is your team talking versus your customer. So really important for coaching purposes to make sure that your team learns to listen instead of talking and shoving products down your customer's throat. They don't want that. They want only what's really important to them at first. They want to have quick wins. And once they start feeling comfortable, then you can share with them more products that they might find useful. Growth opportunities. Teach your team how to ask those questions early on in the hello stage, the getting to know you stage. Customer, do you know other people in your organization that might benefit from using this platform? Or customer, do you have former colleagues or friends that might benefit from this platform as well that you'd like to introduce me to? Asking and looking for those growth opportunities early in the relationship when they're still excited, they're in that honeymoon period, is really important. That commitment plan, make sure you have a commitment plan. It can be a simple Google sheet. It can be an Excel sheet. It can be something more fancy like Asana or Baton. Whatever it is, make sure you have something that explains to your customer what are they committing to, why, and what is the expected outcome. And then key contacts. Too many companies don't track their key contacts for enablement in their CRM. You really want to make sure who is your decision maker, who is the technical person, who is the project manager. those people should be in your CRM so that if you need to contact them, they're there and readily available so that your project isn't getting held up. The other thing, more and more people are changing jobs these days. Someone I interviewed for one of the podcasts I host, video casts I host for Leaders Labs, said my clients change jobs every 2 years. In customer success, it's about every 1.5 years. So you want to make sure you always have more than one key contact in an account so that if that person leaves, hopefully you've built a great relationship with them. They're going to take you to their next organization. But what about this organization? You need to make sure that you have enough key contacts to keep that success going early on in the relationship. And then last but not least, don't host your kickoff meetings, your executive business reviews without the decision maker. If they don't see value and impact from your product, they're probably going to cut your relationship. If there's any sort of budget cut, we saw it with COVID, right? So many companies started cutting technology everywhere they could. They were unsure of how COVID would hit their business. You need to make sure your decision makers understand the impact of your product. All right, so now I'll pause for a moment and have you think about what are the biggest gaps in your renewal strategy, starting at the beginning. Maybe jot down a few things that you feel you should, that the renewal is more seamless from the very beginning. All right, you really want to do it now. It's really important. If whoever you report to isn't on the call, make sure you share some of the key learnings from today. You really can't afford not to, because every single day, new competitors are coming out and trying to take your customers. They're going to your website, they're looking at the brands, and they're trying to take your customers. So make sure you have an incredible experience from the very first time you say hello, customer, all the way through the customer journey. So some key takeaways that I wish I knew when I was starting my own onboarding plans 10 plus years ago is, one, you need to make sure you start the renewal conversations early. Too many companies start it 30 days before the renewal, and that is way, way too late. You need to have it at the kickoff call. What does success look like in a year from now? 2, have an escalation plan by persona. What does that mean? It means you need to know who the executives are on the executive business reviews. Make sure you bring, if you're a customer success manager, make sure you bring a director with you if they're going to have a director on their side. So they're building relationships. They can have an escalation plan. If I have my director on the call and a director's on the call from my customer side and something's going wrong, I can ask my director, hey, you've met customer X. I need you to call the director. This project's going the wrong way and we need to bring them back on track. So that's what I mean by persona. And then constantly educate your customer success team. And what that means is everything I've taught you today, people retain very little after 30 days unless you're practicing. So having those annual kickoff meetings for your sales, your customer success team, they're often called revenue kickoffs or sales kickoffs. It's not enough. You need to be role playing with your team on a quarterly basis. You need to do refreshing. Many companies I work with nowadays have every Monday 30 minutes. Let's train on a skill. Let's do some role playing. You can do it easily with breakout rooms with Zoom, but you really want to make sure that you are practicing what you're learning. You're using call recordings to do coaching, and you're helping your teams practice so they're not pitching at their customers. They're actually helping their customers achieve success with your products. All right. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, this is my contact information. I am on social media all the time. And I want to thank you for joining me today. And I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has some.
Thank you very much, Emilia. It has been a full day, and I know you're at the start of your day, but we've met some amazing speakers right through the day, and with yours is another one where you've given us so much to think about, but you had me completely glued in when you were talking about onboarding and giving us the stories and getting us to connect with you. And I think that's exactly what you did. You had us completely stuck to your presentations. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, as we come to the close of your session, we've got a small little ritual, and I'm going to invite you to join me in it.
Wonderful.
When I say customer, you say FEST with the energy that you want to share. Okay.
All right.
So and I'll do it a couple of times, and you can change your energy if you want. Okay. So on the count of 3, customer.
First.
FEST, because we're at the customer FEST show.
FEST.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well,
let's go again. Let's go again. 3, 2, 1. Customer.
FEST.
Customer.
FEST.
Awesome. Thank you, Emilia. You've given us so much of information to take back. Definitely lots to connect. And along with that, you've given us some energy right now to kind of take us towards the close of the day. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.